Well, I think we we're almost already. I shouldn't be lacking anything else. Aside from yeah. I knew I was kind of going to forget something, so thank God I decided to get everything else ready in time for this because I wanted to also have in chat as always as with this kind of format some, let's say, guidance over what we are going to discuss tonight. So yeah, let me try to get that over there. Mm, there it is. No, which one? I should have it all somewhere over here. Here it is. These are the topics. Let me also try to pin them. Um, pin. There it is. Pin. Okay. Um, okay. And also it I pinned the message. I tried to pin the message and it disappeared. What the fuck? Uh, what the fuck? Let me try to do it on the phone then. If okay, there it is on the phone. I don't know. Anyways, uh, so very well. Without any more else to take into account, we can finally properly start today with a new edition. That is a clock sound because I cannot have no sound playing in the background. So yeah, we have after 100 and how many 189 other streams finally let go of our dear friend the guitar riff. We have abandoned it basically, or not abandoned it, rather we have decided that it was time for it to not exist anymore, as they would say. So, partially sadly, partially not so sadly, we have lost it. We have lost our dear friend, the guitar riff. But well, at the very least, we have something equally good or even better, and that is a clock sound constantly playing in the background. So yeah, with that said, as always, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. I hope we can have another beautiful night. Mm, It seems we we have no problems. I had to change my internet service provider, and it seems so far it is working quote unquote properly. The only kind of problem that I have right now is that somehow the internet is constantly speaking, peaking. Sorry, but aside from that, it doesn't really seem like there is any other problem. I think. So with that said, yeah, I don't think there is any particular problem so far today. Hello, everybody. Hello. Let me properly say it. And obviously, hello, hello, Grand Rack. Hello, Juventus Luna. Hello, everybody. Sorry for not saying it earlier. I was trying to say it, but I think it has been so long since I was really able to stream that it feels very nice to be here once again. I mean, it happened that I lost my internet connection, so I didn't even have the chance to say goodbye because I thought I was going to have time yesterday, but I didn't. So I don't know. Aside from that, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do anything. I think we don't have to worry about anything else. So yeah, we can almost quote unquote properly start with this. Yeah. I will say a good comeback even because after so long, after almost like 20 or more streams, it seems, we go back into the topic list that are so, at least for me, beloved. I do not know how we are going to perform exactly there, but aside from the fact that we might lack some practice, everything else seems to be in place for us to try and get there. So yeah, topics for tonight. I don't have to activate anything on this background because we have Krita to utilize. So yeah, let me transition over here. There it is. Topics. This is quality content. Amazing. Here we have for tonight these four topics: dedication to your hobbies, knowledge for the sake of it, the very rough sketch of what self-deprecation means, and to finalize this beautiful streaming, the question of or if not everybody can be saved. So yeah, with that we can basically say that the most important thing is always to be happy because yeah, we we are finally back. We have the chance of talking about stuff. So now we can we can finally start with this, and maybe it will be even easier to understand. And let's say there is also no music, there is also no other distraction, there is also even visual cues to help us understand even more. This is big content so far. We are starting this new year so incredibly good that it is amazing, I think. But well, I wanted to move on to one of the first topics, but I think I would like before really getting there to say it seems so far everything is going very nice. Mm, I am amazed that we can hold up without any particular problem, as I really was expecting this new internet to really crash or something like that. And so far, aside from one of the antennas that the router has, everything else is working. And this one, I think it was 5G or something like that. So I can't really do anything about that one in particular. And not that I can do anything. We don't have any phone or even less PC that utilizes 5G. So yeah. Aside from that, it seems everything else is working. It seems we can finally stream. And one of the most enjoyable things, I can stream without worrying about quality because I thought I was going to need to go even lower than what we are right now. I was literally going to become one of those black screen or what is it for thirds? I think it is the measure in which you have those long strips along here or something like that, where you can only see like this part in the middle. I was thinking we were going to need to do something like that to utilize more properly the internet that I was going to have, but it seems to be what the fuck cats. It seems to be working properly. So yeah, with that said, and with as always the proper thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Be it lurker, be a dear bot watcher, be one of our beautiful chatters, be it whoever. Thank you. Now I think I can't really try to add almost anything else aside from let me try to create a marker. But yeah, after that we will be finally moving on. I think into one of the first top or what not one, obviously the first one of the topics, and that is the dedication to your hobbies. Because I think so far this topic in particular seems to be very related to the idea of how to properly take care of oneself. I was seeing it, so yeah, I think it can be something worth of observing at the very least, worth of delving in. I will say so. As always, we will see what ends up happening after we try it. So yeah, let me now for real create the marker, sludge marker. There it is. No marker created, and with that, let me dedication. Yeah, here. So now for real, sorry, as I said, we're moving into the first topic of the night. That is we should start with, as always, on this top left corner topic itself, dedication to your hobbies. So let me, while I try to transcribe it, mm, I was thinking, or I was trying to put it into a perspective in which it can be properly talked about, because something that I see when people tries to talk about the idea of dedicating oneself, or knowing at the very least, mm, how much time we do spend in our hobbies, when we try to talk about why the fuck do I have so many problems trying to write one simple word? Mm, take this. Is that something kind of apparent happens? Mm, There are too many views, and people tend to forget that it, at the very least, I think when we are aware of how they work, we can also try to have a balance between them, because people tends to go for the most exaggerated way of saying um, you should only have hobbies when you, or not that you should only have hobbies, rather, mm, your hobbies should be something almost recluded to when you have not free time, rather when you are on vacation or things like that. On one hand, and on the other, it is the complete opposite spectrum of this. That is, you know what, you should have all the time that you can throughout the day to enjoy your hobbies. So yeah, I I will try to bring more than anything else a good balance over the idea itself, because as I said before, I think it it has something interesting to be said about this thing, because what lacks the most to be explained is the possibility of what it means to be dedicated, and what it, more than anything else, could represent for anybody to really spend, let's say, wisely our time in our hobbies, not to simply um, know if we are having enough or not time in our hobbies. So yeah, basically, from that point of view, I think it will be interesting. I do not know, or not that I will not know. I wouldn't like to go for anyone in particular of those, as I said before, two very already visited um, point of view, at the very least from my past experiences, because yeah, they might be interesting, but what can be brought up by acknowledging the inner potential is more interesting, I think, so far today. So yeah, when we're talking about, no, for real, when we're talking about the idea itself of dedication to your hobbies, as I said before, we're not trying to go for something like, okay, you are not doing it enough, or you're doing it too much. We are simply observing this as something that could be beneficial, because what needs to be said first is, in this particular case, let me mark particularly hobbies. When we're talking about hobbies, we're not talking about something that might as well fall under the category of addiction, of something that we can't mm, go through day without realizing, or go through um, a period, no, a collection of days without doing or consuming or anything like that, but rather, and let me try to write it down here. There it is, something that we enjoy doing, no matter what it is. That is what we're talking about when we say hobbies here. No matter if it is something that we do often, if it is something that we do, let's say, mm, every single day, or we do once a week, once a month, once a year, once a decade. No, 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 no. We are talking about something that we enjoy doing, no matter how long or how apart, no, sorry, how close it is one another in time of these instances. It is whatever that we enjoy doing. In I will say, yeah, kind of the obvious part is probably in that sense I cannot fight against it. There it is. In our free time, obviously. A hobby is not something that we enjoy doing while we are working or a part of our work that we enjoy the most, but rather something at the very least to have more proper understanding about the idea itself. Something that was born from the boredom that brought up or freedom itself, as it says here. Or freedom is what ended up bringing us to enjoy to do this, no matter which hobby it is, because something that also tries to be very narrow-minded is to say, yeah, there are only three types of hobby. You can either only watch something, do something, or discuss something. So I am not even going to try to go on that route because everybody knows in which way the hobbies works. So yeah, you know that it is very particular to you why you like your particular hobby and not something completely different. Why is it, let's say, that somebody might like jogging instead of, I don't know, as we are doing here, for example, discussing complex ideas, or well, not sorry, not even complex, discussing ideas for the sake of trying to clarify any other particular underlying notion. So yeah, no matter which is it, a hobby is simply something that is done in the free time, no matter for which reason. Aside from the obviously, as it says here, from for the act of bringing enjoyment to the one who realizes it. So yeah, with that said, I think we can now, as I tried to do before, but this time for real, move into what it might mean to talk about the dedication side of a hobby. Because something that also is interesting to observe is dedication by itself. Let's explain it like this. This is quote unquote because this isn't really that special, but people likes to call it special. Oh, there it is. The concept itself is very kind of, I will say, easy. Not probably the easiest, but very easy in the sense of dedication refers to the, as I said before, quote unquote, special time that somebody spends doing and perfecting something, not simply realizing, let's say, any particular kind of action, but also the time that is spent aside from doing the action itself on observing and trying to assess in which ways that whatever could be perfected and could be made in an even better way, no matter in which sense, because something that gets kind of mm, put together is the notion that you can only be dedicated to what you are good, when in reality, something that we might discuss even here, dedication itself doesn't have to deal with simply the fact of spending or not X amount of time on anything. It is simply something that is born from the act of, as it says here, quote unquote special time. Time that you almost, in, in, in a sense, we can try to unite these two concepts. In your free time, you make some special time apparent for the sake of, let's say, trying to perfect even more what you already enjoy. So here is where we can finally put together with that, is that we can finally segue into the part in which both concepts are interrelated, and that is the concept itself that deals, or what I was trying to discuss here today, that is how to try to boost, or I don't think enjoyment itself, but rather our possibilities of discovering anything positive behind of any kind of hobbies that we have. Because I would say like this, something that also gets said when the hobby word is mentioned is, yeah, a hobby is not something that you can do for the sake of your health or anything like that. So it doesn't make sense to try and preoccupy yourself with being good by doing a hobby, la 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 la. No, we are trying to get into the concept itself of maybe there is. So let's see. When, as I said before, when you have the concept on one side of hobby being something that you do because you enjoy it in your free time, and on the other, dedication referring to the special time that you separate for the act of perfecting something that you already do, you come into the, I would say, even desired state of realizing that there is, I think I am blocking. There it is. A hobby can be truly enjoyed, but in which sense? Because let me add that. Oh, wait, I think offer is with double F, no? So yeah. Mm, there it is, basically. As I kind of tried to point out before, the first part of the sentence is a hobby. Well, I think it goes there here. I might have missed a word. I might have. I will not try to even say that at the end. Ahoy, Terra. Yeah, Terra. Holy fucking god. Sorry for this. What is going on in my mind? That can be truly enjoyed when you can see all that it has to offer. Basically, that is it. Because something that people forgets that might happen is the possibility of us really understanding more what, or in this case we're only talking about hobbies, so I wouldn't try to discuss similar things that might also fall upon the same concept, but our hobbies themselves always have the chance of being even more enjoyable, not because they themselves are not enjoyable right now, but rather because when you can observe all the parts that constitute what is the final hobby that you realize and what is the final hobby in which you engage in that moment, in that instant, it is that you can even more fervently, as one will say, properly see and properly grasp why it could offer you even more than what you would have expected before. And not in the sense that we right now are blinded to never having the chance of truly experiencing it, but rather the opposite. Because I would even say it like this. A concept that gets lost is referring itself to the meaning of hobbies is something that we enjoy. And when we are talking about enjoyment, we need to connect these two once again to bring out this third part here, and that is to finally try to discuss the concept of there we have it. Amazing, beautiful. We can be truly enjoying that which we know. That is the simplest way to say it. We can't completely, let's say, submerge ourselves in enjoyment, nor we can even more try to surround ourselves in the acts of truly embracing all the good parts that something might have when we do not completely have, or not completely, it doesn't even have to need a complete understanding and a whole understanding out of our different hobbies. It is simply a better understanding. And the main idea is always to try, in this case, the main idea, just in case if it isn't obvious, let's say like this. To enjoy. That's all that matters here. To enjoy and to have a better time with our hobbies. Because something that sadly I think ends up happening at least nowadays, I will even say, is going back into the different concepts that I talked about before. When we have people that talks about hobbies as something that we like to do or something that we do not really are taking enough time off from, let's say, when we have those two same things happening at the same time, we lose vision, and even more, we lose the so important notion of seeing that a hobby is something that also requires our time. Not because a hobby by itself is not something that we can do, let's say, in any particular situation, because most of them, even the easiest kind of games, are literally made with that intention behind, but rather because we observe, and even more, we desire to, as it says here, to enjoy, because we have that main interest. We can finally see that by trying to take some of some of our free time, convert it into that quote unquote special time to even more properly analyze what is it that constitutes our hobby, and ending up into the final state of this, that is to enjoy in an even more complete state all that makes our hobby be what it is. It is when we have all of those tools well working all at once that we can, not as if we weren't able to before, but simply now even more properly say, yeah, I enjoy this, and now I can be happy because I can see and I can even more feel like this was a worthy experience for me, and not something that I, let's say, didn't have the chance of a not and yeah, I was going to even kind of lie there, because people sometimes also likes to say enjoy or what not. Sorry, but no. You can always enjoy your hobbies, but if you need other outsider things, let's say, cloud your actual vision about your hobby, then it might not be my particular perspective the one that clouded you. So yeah, sorry if that is something that I had to say. But yeah, now I think with that, let me. I just noticed I probably didn't have a chat the whole time, so let me check that just in case. Because yeah, I might have made a kind of tiny error. So yeah, sorry. But also, yes, yes, I was completely right. I didn't even notice that I didn't have a shot. This is painful. But yeah, welcome, Klondike. Let me do it properly. Transition. Mm, 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 mm. There it is. I mean, I don't know what happened, or well, I can kind of know, but I would like to not delve into the concept as to why happened. I don't know. But wait. Can I, or should I say Klondike? Why? I think I think I asked, how should I say your name? Why did you never say that I should say Klondike instead of Klondike? I now that we are here, both of us together, I want to ask you that. Why did you never correct me? I always say the Klondike instead of Klondike. I feel like I was scammed, my man. I know. I feel I feel angry. I feel I feel betrayed, as one would say. But what the fuck? Hold. For a moment I thought you were you somehow uh, in one single instance gave like how many 6,000 points. But thank you both, Klondike and Granrak. Mm, we might have you didn't tell me. No, 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 no. You didn't tell me that it should have been Klondike instead of Klondike. You know, that is why I I I don't know. I might be gaslighting you into making you believe that you never told me how it works. So yeah, I don't know. But well, let me now let me try to mark the marker for this because I think we are done with this one in particular so far. Amazing, incredible dedication to our hobby here. So let me make the marker. Mm, 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 mm. There it is, marker. Mm. You never noticed that. What? Okay. Okay. Eh, okay. I am not going to discuss it. Okay. I guess it can happen like that. But well, now I finally know how to properly get you. So sorry for um, probably this how many last 2 months, 3 months where I always said Klondike. So yeah, there it is. Now we're moving on to the second topic. That is knowledge for the sake of it. So let me try to write it down. And so wait, people. What do we think about no, 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 not having any more the guitar riff? Are we happy with this? What is it? With this clock? Do we like it? I, I, I don't like clocks, so this is my sacrifice for you. We have a we have a clock always. Is it? I think you can hear it. No, yeah. Hmm. Holy moly! I can't write any. There we have it. The second topic of tonight. Amazing quality content. So yeah, um, yeah, I spent 40 minutes trying to explain one single topic. What the fuck? What the fuck? Anyways, moving on. Sorry for the distraction. I was here trying to explain the second topic. We have three more to go, so yeah, let me get started with this. Holy moly. My god. I think we should, as I did before, try to explain before what it means. In this case, first and foremost, the concept of simple knowledge as it comes, as one could say, because knowledge might have so many different explanations that trying to get it right might be important, as we, by doing that, might also realize with which concept is it that we are working today. So yeah, I think so far we have it here, and now let me here. We are explaining simply knowledge, no? So yeah, okay. Knowledge refers p, 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 here to the understanding. No, There we have it. This is quality content. Knowledge refers to the understanding of something, and with that, I want no, sorry. Obviously, it is kind of, I think, explanatory enough to the degree to which I shouldn't really add up that much else. But just in case, obviously, knowledge is that not even a unit of measure that we utilize, because to a certain degree, the only one who can really understand how much we hold knowledge of about something is ourselves. Nobody else can really tell how much we know or not about anything. So yeah, knowledge, as it says here, refers to the understanding of something, and by that simple measure, it is that we are also taking it or putting it together to the other part of this. That let me try to drink some water before take this. To the part that says for the sake of it, because what it might mean in this case might not be so easily understood. Understood, sorry. I think it shouldn't be that hard to understand, but just in case, let me also try to explain it. As something that I have seen repeated, I will quote unquote say, is is that sometimes when people utilize this expression of for the sake of it, they forget that it really is simply for the interest in having it and not for anything else. So yeah, in this case, kind of obvious, we're only speaking about the kind of knowledge that is born satiation that goes with those two things, I think. Mm, there we have it. Amazing gameplay. This is something incredibly simple. That these two things now somehow connect together and try to add into something even more important than what it might seem at first. Because yeah, knowledge, as I said before, or now finally having both descriptions together, we're talking about to what can be referred as the amount of understanding that we hold about something for the simple interest that we have about knowing of that topic and about, let's say, becoming knowers of it, not for any other purpose, nor for any other necessity, even less. In a sense, I would even kind of try to not to really segue into it back to force it, but connect it into here. A knowledge that is born from, uh, or here, a knowledge that is born for the sake of it might as well really be connected with the concept itself of a hobby, of a concept that is born from a hobby, let's say. So yeah, when we have those two things connected, it is now that we can properly put together what I wanted to talk about here, and that is what it might bring into the whole mix. Because something that gets overlooked sometimes is the possibility of discovering or even more utilizing that knowledge. Because in this case, we're not simply, or we're going to observe, let's say like this. We acknowledge that one might have any single kind of knowledge on their life about any single thing that they simply had an interest on, as I said before. So yeah, we acknowledge that it exists by simply once again bringing it into the spotlight, but we decide to move on specifically, or I think I should even try to write it here. Mm, holy fuck. Specifically, let's say like this. This is amazing. The one with potential. Yes. Not any other kind of knowledge. It's the one with that we are going to focus today. Specifically, the one with potential. I think um, I might have committed an error, and that is to utilize such a word here, potential, when it might as well be one of the most incredibly complex words to utilize whatsoever. So that is my fault. Sorry for that. I fuck. I need to explain this. Yeah. Um, potential. Let's say like this. Um, oh my. Here. I think this way I can explain it the easiest. When we are talking about whatever it is that has potential, we are referring itself to the unmanifested capacity of being something. We are not even going to try and delve into which kind of something. If it is something good, if it is something bad, if it is something useful, if it is something hurtful. No, we are not going to specify it. We are simply going, okay, let's say like this. We already overlook what was the possibility, or not overlook, said that yeah, as every kind of knowledge might have the possibility or not of having potential, and we simply decided to mm, choose the one that has potential. We're going in this case to also choose and probably take for granted that we might as well be talking about the one that has the potential to be useful in any kind of situation, not the one that, let's say, could be utilized for the sake of, I don't know, destroying the world or something like that. So, yeah, with that being said, now finally moving on, what the idea itself tries to refer is when you have this whole mix of things all put together, and even more, when you have the potential itself existing as something unmanifested, when you notice that your knowledge ends up being something, obviously, as it as the word itself implies, potentially useful, when you know that you have that in your hands, you also see and you start, I will say, the best part of this, to realize that sometimes you might as well have a good chance of utilizing it instead of simply looking over or believing that you might have a chance or whatnot of doing with your knowledge nothing, because in reality the idea itself is to bring into notion and even more into the conscious mind the idea of finally, let's say like this, um, Oh my god, it fits. Anyways, as it says here, finally putting that into perspective. I think it shouldn't go with a set, but just in case. To be utilized, because the important part of this is to know that when we have a knowledge that can be utilized, and or well, kind of the whole underlying notion, I think in this case I didn't properly explain myself, maybe, that is, the concept itself not only refers to knowledge that has potential but also tries to acknowledge the possibility itself of sometimes we have something that could be beneficial to anybody, but because we never even paid attention to it, we never even had the possibility of observing that it might as well have been utilized for any particular thing, for any particular reason at all. So when we can finally start to put into that perspective, as it says here, we can also see and we can even more start to notice that it can be utilized. And obviously I would say it like this. I will kind of finalize this whole idea just in case it isn't somehow clear. Mm, what the fuck? There it is. We end up transforming that potential knowledge into action. And with that, we end up manifesting the capacity that it had or knowledge of being something into a final action, an existing and let's say even tangible action that represents our efforts at and can, I wouldn't say simply testify, but at the very least show that we have to such a degree an understanding of our knowledge that we can even utilize it in real life. Because one of the few sad things that happens is when, let's say like this, when we understand something and we simply satiate our interest on it, but we never realize that we might as well have a chance of applying it in any particular case of our daily life or something barely similar, we end up becoming holders of not simply unrealized but almost sealed potential, because we end up after so many repeated occasions of this happening in us, we end up even diminishing in ourselves the capacity of also utilizing it for any particular reason at all that can be truly interesting. So, when we can, as it says here, when we can finally observe it, put it into a good perspective that can guide us into how it could be utilized, and we can finally make it into an action, we end up transforming and even more, let's say, firing all of that potential into something that could really exist out there in the world and not simply inside of our minds. Because the biggest problem of knowledge is that it is only something we know of most of the time. And at the very best, it is something that others also might know about if they are close enough to us so that they ended up being taught about it, or if our whole society, not our whole, some parts of our society knows about similar knowledge because of heritage or something similar. So yes, the message here is to try and utilize the knowledge that we hold instead of letting it die inside of ourselves. Because I would even say like this, not to make it a painful notion, but to have knowledge never be spread is the same as to have a fire that ended up consuming ourselves. And not that we should try to burn others with our knowledge, but rather that we should try to control what we have inside of us, to shed it, and to make others also feel the warmth of what we have inside of us. So yeah, I think with that is that we can finally, let's say, put an end to this second topic. And well, I don't know how much I have in here. I hope I am not going to take like 3 hours trying to explain 4 topics. But so far, let me once again make a marker. I hope it was clear enough, and let us move into the third topic. After that, yeah, we have a kind of a heavy one. Kind of, I will say. Not completely, but kind of. How much time is it? I know it is barely the 1 hour mark, so yeah. I don't know what is it that I spent so much time. Anyways, we're here on the third topic. As I said, it might as well be a heavy one. I didn't intend for it to be here in the sense of right now, but I guess it appeared as something that we had to talk about. So yeah, when it is randomly, mm, randomly chosen, yeah. Sadly, there is incredibly too much to say about it. So we might as well try to simply go for a very, 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 very rough sketch of what it means, and at the very best, to try and give one of the many different tools that try to fight off one of the many different aspects or the many different ways in which this might appear in anybody's life. Because, yeah, kind of, as I said before, kind of hard to really say enough about it. Here it is. I will, just in case, today we are, mm, yeah, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say it. So, this might be somehow something that could come off as harsh because nobody who hasn't truly gone through the lowest parts of the self depreciation can really understand how it feels to be down there, let's say. So, if in any part of the process I describe it as something less harsh than what it really is, or less horrible than what it really ends up being, know that it isn't intentional. Now, with that said, for real, let us start on this. Because what we're talking about here, and what is the idea itself, I think it shouldn't even need an introduction. As it, at this point, I would be surprised if anybody doesn't really um, know about what self-depreciation means and what it represents on almost anybody's lives. But just in case, let us say it like this. or the easiest way. Let's try to say it the easiest way possible. Yeah, wait. I will say I don't think it should be something that isn't truly mentioned. Well, this last one, but just in case, I will let's put it in the simplest terms possible. Hmm, there it is. I think with that we can properly start talking about it because what is as it is here the act of attacking ourselves for who we are, what we did do, we were going to do, or from our turbulent minds, in the sense of it might come even from places that might we might have never expected it to appear from. Because the act itself of punishing, no matter which kind of action, inaction, mm, past, present, future, or even attributes of ourselves, is something that at, I will say after a certain point in life, and thus being a global attribute that anybody went through at some point in their lives. Some, let's say, suffer more from this than others. Some face this more than others. So yeah, some people is completely, mm, let's say, behind the, not behind, sorry, being almost every single day mm, punished by the weight of their incredibly heavy self-depreciation habits because what it means or what it by itself tries to also say is well I don't think I properly even talk about it so yeah let me extract it like here. Mhm. Here, there it is. I think the most crucial part of this concept is that it might arise from anywhere. It doesn't really need to come from any particular bad experience. It is something that could end up being an experience that we have to go through no matter who we are, because I wouldn't simply say it. The moment in which we have a weak mind, but rather the moment in which we end up in, okay, let's say like this. It is kind of hard to really describe it without, before really explaining it, let me say, yes, in some cases, it is a mechanism that we have or that we utilize in other occasions, but in this case, let me properly now start with the explanation itself. It happens because we had damaging thoughts appearing in our mind, and they ended up getting the attention that they might as well have never deserved. Because now, as I was saying, some in some occasions we have had and we have found in ourselves ideas that were reprehensible enough to the degree to which we learned about an error that we were committing, and we were able to really fix something from, or let's say, past version that we didn't want to keep carrying anymore because it was in some sense at fault. Yes, but after a certain point, after a certain threshold, when we allow those same ideas to keep appearing time and time again, what ends up happening is, in some cases, in or not in some cases, in some earlier, in some later, the threshold with which those ideas appear and the strength with which they also manifest themselves is more and more stronger. So if we do not pay attention as to how is it that we end up getting these thoughts and in what sense or what purpose is behind them, we might as well never realize that we are engaging, let's say, in the act itself of self-depreciation. Because something that gets missed is the part of The thoughts themselves might keep appearing, but the and is very big here for that same reason. When we give them the attention that they might as well have never deserved, it is that they become stronger. And when we allow certain parts of us to become weak for the influence of something that is almost even predating on the notion and even more the interest of attacking that which seems weak, it is in those moments that we get truly taken by this. But I will say, kind of as it is apparent, as I said before, the change of habit can be strong even in our thought patterns. Yeah, and I mean the same problem here is what I was trying to say before, because let me explain it like this. Um, if you were okay, let me write like this. If you were every single day eating what is it, one grape and another grape and another beautiful grape and another beautiful grape and another beautiful grape and another beautiful one, and you were after so many times accustomed to eating grapes from a very I don't know ripe tree that you found, when you get after so long to one that is completely rotten, if you do not notice that it is completely rotten, or if you believe that it might as well carry something more important than what it really is, that rotten part, when you allow that rotten one to enter, it is that you, let's say, get the disease. But if you have the capacity, in the case of observing our thoughts as this, as a fruit that needs to be constantly observed when harvested, when you see that you have something, in this case, rotten, and when you can take it apart, it is that in that instance that you can, let's say, destroy a little bit the change of our habits. Because one of the few problems that exist with the way in which we work, we like to establish inside of us the most amount of patterns that we can. So if let's say in here in this example, if you after eating the first grape you feel like it was great, you move into the second, you didn't really pay attention to the second. On the third one you say, okay, I might as well not even need to pay attention. Then you eat the fourth and you eat the fifth at the same time because they were all tasty. You eat the sixth and you say, wow, this is amazing. And by the time that you are paying attention, you're already at the seventh. So you might as well keep eating. You're already at the eighth. You're at the ninth somehow. You're at the tenth. And when you find yourself out of nowhere in the 11th, it is in that moment that you might not even have the chance of pulling yourself back, of, let's say, finally stopping you from giving the attention that it didn't deserve, that same, let's say, whole fruit of something that at some point was great, like the first one, the second one, but later on ended up degenerating into a very aggressive idea. So, yeah, in this case, as I was trying to say here, one of the, I was going to say few. Holy fuck, there are no fews. Um, hello, Arca. No, wait. there is quality content. Quiero jugar que. One of the ways to stop it is there we have it. One of the ways in which it could be stopped is if we were to somehow not pay so much attention. The problem itself is to learn to, as we were talking here. Okay, I didn't remove it. If you have the whole, what is it? The whole, I don't remember, the whole vine. If you have the whole vine of grapes that feels, or that at the very first look seems to be okay, how can you notice that only one of them seems to be bad? And might as well even taste a little bit great, so you don't even know if it is really bad or not, if you don't taste it before. So how can you judge it so much before really trying to see how good it could be or not? So if you can't pull yourself back from giving that amount of attention to let's rebuild it to the act itself of attacking you for whatever it was, for an error, for what you are, for what you did, for what you are doing now, for what you were going to do, for a simple moment in which somehow, and that is the biggest problem with this part, because it doesn't really need to come from a moment of mental instability. If you were, for example, to lack enough sleep, they also start to creep in those moments or those thoughts of self-depreciation. And also, the moments in which you are going through bad times, they also start to appear. So, in any kind of turbulent mind, they can appear. They don't really appear in simply one occasion. So, when you understand that they might really appear from anywhere and that they can mm, be or that they can be instated as things that are going for you in the as it yeah as the whole analogy that we're utilizing so far as something that at some point looked great but ended up being really damaging. When you can notice that and when you can even more stop yourself from giving any more attention to it, it is that you can almost get freed. But if you cannot even see where they are coming from, you are going to have one of the biggest problems. And I mean, it is also not complete true that because I wouldn't like to lie in the sense of, oh yeah, this here is the perfect solution. You know, this is the perfect way to deal with um, this acts of self-depreciation. No, 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 no. Because something that also happens sadly with this is if you can't really deflect those thoughts, what you end up doing is simply you literally here you end up bottling them up for later on a bigger or an even bigger explosion and an even bigger mess of a whole attack on yourself because you can't really notice that they are simply being there for the sake of that, not for any greater good, nor for the real interest of helping what you are trying to go for right now. Simply you're feeling like they might need some attention, they might need some mm, observance, as they might have something useful to provide to you. So when you have so many of those, and when even more, they present themselves in such a quantity, you really need to be able to hold yourself back from paying them attention. And it ends up being this that you end up bottling them up because after a certain point, almost nobody can truly avoid giving them any attention. And in that moment, it is that we end up with another one of the few tools that are very, I think, interesting in that sense. Is here we have it. If, and this part cannot be stressed enough, if if you know yourself in a real high degree, if you know yourself, you can analyze where they came from, and you can even more digest why was it that they appeared and diffuse them correctly. But there is no physical way for me to really stress enough if you really understand yourself. Because something that therapy forgets to properly say is no, you shouldn't do it in the same sense as if you know yourself, if you have even the tiniest amount of doubt in yourself. Because the capacity for this amount of problems to destroy you is incredibly greater than the capacity of you overcoming any amount of them before getting overwhelmed. So, if you're really capable of observing yourself, digesting what you're having to deal with, and even more, in that same sense, processing where they came from, what was their main reason to being brought up by your mind, or any other particular motive that ended up creating them, if you can do it, that is quote unquote the supposedly correct way to deal with them. But the I will say the rest of the page or the whole page could go over here, and we have to write if over here to represent the amount of importance that it has to fucking understand that yeah, you need to properly, incredibly properly understand yourself if you believe that you can by you yourself and nothing else deal with those thoughts. So yeah, but I mean, it doesn't really mean that you can start to learn, and even more that you can start to comprehend what you are as a human being, and even more as the person that you embody. So when you grasp all of those things, it ends up being even more of an easy time. And also something very funny that gets lost in the middle of this is if you never try to understand who you are, it is hard at first, but it is another one of those snowball effect times in where after trying and trying and trying, the act itself of trying becomes incredibly easy, and the capacity that you have for understanding ends up also being incredibly mm, augmented. So yeah, all of this is simply two ways to deal with it, and also the simplest of the explanations as to what self-deprecation might mean. So yeah, I think with that we are basically, or I might as well try to. But I mean, there are like 20 different ways to deal with it. So yeah, at the very least, know that there are also, let's say like this. Wait. Mhm. So we must always be vigilant and pay attention to what we are thinking, why, and whether or not they even make real sense. Further, doing so is necessary to free us from the effects they might bring, but the very first step is to be truly and honestly self-aware. I mean, in a sense, yes, and self-awareness is not the only tool because you not only need to be self-aware, but you also need to be aware about, for example, one of the main ways, or not main, sorry, one of the most complex ways in which um, trying to go with this analogy, and a grape like this might also end up being rotten is, I think it is kind of impossible to hold it, but at this point, let's say that you have the grape and you ate the grape, okay? And when you ate the grape, it starts to slowly fall down. And when it is like over here, when it is only or when you already, let's say, you already, what is it, ingested the fruit itself, over here it starts to fucking get rotten. And over here it starts to end up being damaging to you. So you also need to understand ways in which this might happen to any kind of fruit in that sense. Or obviously, in the sense of thoughts, how is it that any particular idea that we have might degenerate into something that ends up or was probably intended by the subconscious as a self-depreciation act. Because not in every occasion we can notice at first that they have that intention behind. And even more, as I said before, not only the self awareness itself is the tool, you also need to have a mix, or well, I mean, yes, basically that, and you also need to have a mix of other external tools to properly deal with every one of them. Because even more, mm, let's say like this, one of the few. mm, I already pushed myself too much to say it. Yeah, yeah. Basically, that one of the few tools that they bring into reality is they can test how resilient you are, and if you are capable of building such great walls, they also become incredibly great enemies. So, if you can't deal with them longer and longer, they become bigger and bigger, but you also can reflect on their actual or future appearance to keep dealing with them even more and keep building yourself even bigger. So yeah, all of this is interesting, but as I said before, I don't even know why the fuck did I put it on the first page. It is incredibly complex. I at the least we talk about it. So yeah, we're happy with this. So well, we have literally only one last topic tonight. I don't know how much I spent on this. I I think we probably like half an hour or so. I don't know. Let me make the timestamp. Oh my god. Marker. Yeah. Mm, mm, mm. Ah, I had a fucking typo. Amazing. Anyways, um, okay, we have only one last part, one last topic to deal with, and I will probably try to deal with it kind of quickly because I didn't expect to be here so long, and I don't know why did it take me so much to fucking hit go live. Um, no, I remember. I what? No, do I remember? Why did I spend so long going live? What the fuck happened to it? Ah, yeah, no, no, no. I forgot to try. Yeah, sorry. What was it? This? Okay. So yeah, we can finish with answering one of the best questions that I found. Um, I think at the very least when I was writing that page. So yeah, my computer. No, no, no. I mean, I only have the what is here. The first topic, or well, the topic list itself is over here. Then we have the first, what is it? The whole first topic. That that one wasn't so bad. It is compressed over here. We have the second topic over here. We have the third one over here. That was the self-realization one. We have the third one was knowledge for the sake of it, and now we have the fourth one. I mean, they are only five. A lot, five. I don't know. Probably the three is a lot, supposedly. So yeah, probably. But no, no, not so. So far, it is working fine. The PC fans are not going at maximum speed, so don't worry. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I never even thought about using layers. Good idea. I don't know how to how to do layers here. I should probably learn how to do what is it hotkeys and such. What? No. Ta-da! This we are finishing with this because this was, as I said before, one of the best questions that I found when I was at the very least making that page. If it is that we can or we can't save everybody in the sense of if it is possible to really try and help whoever it is, or if there is some people who end up really being broken. I don't think it is probably also an easy topic, but at the same time, it isn't really negative. The final um, outcome of all of this. So yeah, let us go for this after I drink water. Give me a second. Here we are. Yeah, basically we can save everybody. We can save everybody. Son, let's say. But yeah. What? I wasn't looking for 1 second, and I got out of nowhere. Redeem. Yeah. Yeah, basically. But I mean, wasn't that also? Who was it? I don't remember. The guy who the the one who got stronger from the sun or something like that. From the oh my god, I can't even remember the name of the anime. Seven Deadly Sins. Um, who also said something like that. Why? Because I said so, basically. Basically, that is the whole explanation. That is the funniest part of this. Can everybody be saved, or can not everybody be saved? Maybe, but why maybe? Because we need completely different types of approach. Every single person is a whole, completely individual machine. And the more complex the problem, the more complex is the solution. So, if we were capable of solving them, it is possible. But are we going to risk ourselves for the sake of everybody in the sense of literal everybody or not? So yeah, with that, I think we are done here because that is something incredibly funny to learn. That it is possible only to the degree to which we are ready to sacrifice everything else. Because some people might as well need a sacrifice as big as that one. Not because they are irredeemable, but because their problems are incredibly big for such simple creatures like us to understand. So yeah, I think with that we have properly finished the last one. So yeah, quality content. But well, so far that's it basically. That's what that was the whole stream. I hope people you were able to enjoy. What the fuck? What the fuck? What happened? What the fuck? What happened? Why do you say what the fuck? I mean, yeah, yeah. I tried my best. What what do you want? What do you want? I am say so. I can't say unsay so stuff. I am sorry for not saying unsay so. Um, I am incredibly sad. I yeah, I mean we were learning so far. So we were uh, we were testing. We were basically observing how to utilize more tools and similar stuff like that. I am very happy. I think it went maybe nah, yeah, or maybe it was kind of too long in the sense of we were here almost 2 hours. So maybe in that sense I will try to shorten up the amount of time that I spent writing. I guess I was like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so writing in total. So maybe trying to shorten that up would be useful. But aside from that, everything else has been very amazing. Um, yeah, but I mean, it is good, but I wasn't talking as much, so that is why I still feel bad in that sense. I was literally going crazy, simply writing. So, oh yeah, obviously, always. Also, it is incredibly complex because I am not very uh, capable of creating stuff like what is it? Any of this is an incredibly complex for me. So every single time that I have to create them, I have to literally like um, I feel like what is the expression? The cogs in my mind are going at uh, 500 times the faster pace than normal. So yeah, mm, obviously it is hard work, but at the very least we are able to do it. So yeah, not that much of a real worry. But well, as I was going to say, we shall probably, or well, not probably, we are going to resupply. You know, I don't know how many were five. Amazing. This is quality content. Thanks everyone for being here. But yeah, this is coming also to an end because I don't really have that much else to say so far. I am very happy that we were able to do it. Obviously, that thanks for sticking for so long. We're finally finding a way in which it also has any type of visual inputs to feel interesting to observe. So yeah, while I try to calm myself down, we're going to raid Blue Whistle slash Shen, who is probably doing art, no? So yeah, we're going to what? As always, sorry for not saying it enough. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the attention, for everything, for the love, for the view, for the both watching action, for lurking, for chatting, for every single part of this. Thanks for everything, people. As I said, we're going to ride Shen, and meanwhile, remember to stay safe. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to rest more than anything else. And well, thanks for all. Wait. What is it here? There it is. Red message. Amazing quality. And well, yeah, as always, remember that this was great, but this also needs to come to an end. And we enjoyed it. So whenever it might happen in the future, we are going once again to get back to here. And until that happens, do not despair. Stay safe. And yeah, now we're leaving. Thanks for all. Completely know that I am thankful for this. So yes, goodbye, stay safe, and now raid, 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 raid.